Take control of your career and compensation right now. It's your 5-minute career hack.
I'm so excited for today. Listen, I get an incredible honor every single morning to spend time with the beautiful queen that you all see on the screen today. This is my first time looking her in the eye face to face, even though we kind of talk every morning on our mastermind group that we do in the morning. So shout out to Leslie George and Shirley Ann for starting Mosaic Inc. And I get to be just connected with beautiful individuals like Miss Charlene. So she is joining me today, and I'm gonna introduce Miss Charlene, and then we're gonna hop right in. So this is the Brand Misfit Charlene Brown. She is your guide on your journey to digital mastery and entrepreneurial success. She's the founder and the CTO of Brooklyn Custom Design, and she's not your average website developer. She's a tech and brand strategist, a WordPress wizard, and a distinguished LinkedIn web developer top voice. And I get the honor to introduce you all to Charlene. Charlene, thank you so much for joining me today on our goal setting series that we're doing this week.
Thank you for having me. And it's of course at the perfect time, because not only have I been putting my own plans together for 2024, but I've just been getting so much insight from others, right? So this is the perfect time to share what I've been learning and hear what others have been learning, and especially you. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yes, same here. And I know, again, like I said, we get a chance to chat a little bit in the mornings and hear from each other. But today we get to share some of that stuff, especially over the last couple of weeks. We've talked about some of those goals and how we getting after that bag for 2024. And so we get to share a little bit of those nuggets and that wisdom with the audience. So I am confident that you'll get one or maybe even 5 things. This 5-minute career hack, you'll at least get one thing that will bless you and help push you forward in 2024. So again, thanks, Charlene. And so why are we here today? We are here because what's this, December 4th?
Sure.
Some folks already in 2024. So before I even hop in, let's make sure we wrap up 2023. But this is a very good time to be in reflection mode before you start writing out all those 2024 goals. So 5-minute career hack is on a mission this week to help you get in the right mindset and to apply the right strategies to your 2024 goals. And what Charlene and I are going to do a little bit today is we're really going to be working on and talking about the mindset you should have and what you should reflect on and how you should be thinking before you put your 2024 goals together. So I'm not giving you action plan tonight. I'm your thought partner. Charlene is your thought partner tonight to help give you tools to think about this the right way as we approach 2024. Charlene, tell us a little bit about, because I know you just kicked off the clarity with Charlene, and I wanted this to be, because I'm the career wellness strategist and you are the clarity queen. So before we hop in, tell us a little bit about your podcast and this journey to clarity that you've been on, because we're going to spend a lot of time on well-being and clarity tonight.
Absolutely. So for me, clarity has been the foundation of everything I do. And I realized that literally later on. So after I've launched my business and I was struggling and trying to figure out, like, oh my God, I was doing all the things, right? So I was hiring the coaches, I was working with others, I was collaborating, I was networking, but it never felt right for me. And it felt like something was off. And people would say to me, oh, I don't know if you really enjoy web design. I don't know if that's really what you love. And that's like, nah. And to the point that they had me questioning, do I really love web design? But I do. The issue for me was the clarity was missing. So many people would come to me, so many clients would come to me and they would say, oh, can you put up a website for me? Can you do this? Can you do that? And then when we get into the ball of it, they didn't have anything ready. So they weren't clear themselves. So then I couldn't get clear. And then I was all like muddled and everywhere. So for me, this year is what really set it off for me was like, you know what? Every single time I get that aha moment, it's a clarity moment for me. So I need to really have these discussions, and I met amazing people since the pandemic. I've been on LinkedIn and doing all kinds of things. So through those conversations with those people, I realized they all had aha moments. They all had clarity moments. So that's where the podcast really made sense. And an amazing friend, Dr. Martin Pratt, he was like, you know what? You do good. You do great on interviews. You're great when you're interviewing folks. I'm like, you think so? So again, aha moment. And he said he named the podcast. Can I tell you that?
Oh
And
wow,
once
awesome.
I heard the name, I was like, I'm in. Count me in.
Yes.
So I just started, just reaching out to people. And because it was just so, it made sense. It was like you can't move forward without clarity. You have everybody tell you amazing things like, you gotta automate your business. You gotta bring in people for your business. You gotta bring in a team. You gotta learn how to delegate, all these things. But those things don't really pop off right unless you have clarity on what you want your team to be, what you want your business to be.
Right.
Because you can bring people in and then now they changing your stuff. They doing all kinds of things with your business. And is it that you allowed it to happen, or because you had no clarity, they had to make clarity for themselves? And that's how your business shifted. So yeah, the whole Clarity with Charlene podcast is really about getting people to come to that moment that they can talk about what was their clarity moment. How do they feel their clients get those clarity moments? Because it doesn't really matter whatever industry you're in. What if you're in a career? Maybe you don't want to start a business. You're in a career. How do you get your team around you to have clarity so they can accomplish the goals that they need for that company? Or maybe it's a personal thing, how is your personal life getting clarity?
Yeah.
So I totally love that we did the podcast. I cannot wait to launch more episodes. Some of the conversations that's about to come up, child, baby. I was like, what? I need a drink after this conversation because it was lit. So
Yes, I
yeah,
love
I
it.
cannot wait.
I love it. I love it. And congratulations on that as well. We are looking forward to the 5 Minute Career Hack on joining you soon. So I already told you when it's me, Alicia, and Jamila together, it's a vibe. So
Come on now.
just the four of us, I think it's going to be amazing as well. I look forward to upcoming episodes. But I want to hit on that clarity moment that you talked about, because I think you probably heard me say a couple of weeks ago, right before your podcast launch, was like, I'm almost about to start saying there's no such thing as clarity. Like, and the reason I was there was because, just full transparency, like my period of life after burnout, when I was going through burnout and I was always in survival mode, that was when I thought that I felt the most clear. Like I was in control of the strategic moves and I was doing all these things to survive. And so I was like, well, I had clarity, but now that I'm free and peaceful, I don't feel clear. And I was actually coaching somebody over the phone, and they were like, and they were speaking my language of saying the same thing I was saying 2 years ago of, I used to feel so clear and now I don't feel clear anymore. And I was like, you weren't clear, you were surviving. And now you have an opportunity to slow down and actually get clear. And I want to ask you a question as I say this, because I can probably learn in this way, but there's a few things I think we need clarity on. And one of those things for me is you need clarity in your values before you go setting goals. That's one of the things when I think about all the missteps or just even experiencing that burnout, coming after that burnout, the things that I was doing, even though I was trying to do everything in excellence, it wasn't always aligned with my real values. And so next thing you know, I'm like, well, forget clarity. That wasn't it. But I love to just hear from you real quick before we hop in on if you could give the audience just a few things with or alongside values that they should seek clarity on prior to setting goals, or just as they approach the next endeavor, what's some advice you give them in just a couple of hacks on where they need to be most clear to make sure they're not in survival but in thriving mode as they approach 2024?
Whew, girl, I love that question. And for me, I can definitely speak to how I was, because I was in that mode where you feeling like you're drowning, nothing's moving, you don't know what's going on. Um, I had to really get back to center into what called me to begin with and what was my core speaking to. Because a lot of times we're not listening to that. We have so much external noise bombarding us that we believe the external noise is what our real vision is, what we really believe. But that's not what it really is. It's really, we're so pulled away from centering ourselves. We're so pulled away from just being alone with our thoughts. Some people are afraid to be alone with their thoughts for whatever reason that is. And I realized when you can be alone with your thoughts and really listen to yourself, and yourself is saying, you know what, I really want to do this. Maybe it's saying you really want to be an author. You really want to be seen and known, and your voice be heard through your words and your vision. That right there is when you know, okay, that's your moment. Now you're listening to yourself, and you start to pull closer to other conversations that are happening externally that align with what you want. And that's where I realized I needed to really refocus myself too, right? Is I was listening to all these external voices, doing they were doing the most, telling me that, do you know what you really want? And da 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 da. And I'm saying to myself, I do. Maybe I just don't know how to express myself, right? Maybe that's the issue. But again, if I my
It's all
cat.
good. Listen, life be life in, and this is live. This is live. Okay, you're good. Tell the cat, carry on, cat. Okay.
I need to go back to nap. Like, what are you saying? But yes, so with that, it was really about me saying to myself, hey, just don't know how to express what my thoughts are. Do I have so many ideas that are pulling in, and I'm trying to figure out which idea I should follow? Or am I listening to other people? Am I listening to all those other external thoughts that truly do not know me? We hire experts that we want to guide us, and we hope they can guide us. But if we're not really doing a true deep dive for ourselves, and they can't get us to do a deep dive, are we getting to that moment? Will we get to that aha moment of clarity? And for me, the clarity is really aligning what is your what's your true calling? What's really pulling from the inside, your internal gut that tells you wake up, you know you can't sleep, or every time you're doing something mundane, or you in corporate life and you working on something, but your thoughts float, right? They call you daydreaming, but you daydreaming of what you really want.
Come on.
Are you aligned with yourself enough to know, you know what, I really don't want to be on this job. My ultimate dream and ambition is to be over here. But if you never sat down and take the time to listen to yourself and start to sort your thoughts out, some people, they journal. They say everything that pops in their mind, and then they can look at that journal later and say, oh, okay, these were business ideas. These were ideas from my personal life. These were dreams that I would love to do with a family or friend, or maybe by myself. Things like that. But if you cannot sit down with your thoughts and really understand where they're coming from, what's really going on with yourself, then I think you miss out on the possibility of having the clarity. Because sometimes getting to clarity is scary. It's emotional. It's fear. It's filled with a lot of fear, because you have to face yourself. You have to face your shortcomings, right? We have to face loss. We have to face so much to get to the point where we can say, Because you got people at the age of 80. And my favorite person, and I'm gonna dig into my sitcom right now.
Come on.
My Sophia Petrello, honey. I love me some Sophia, because from the Golden Girls, Sophia would say all kind of off the wall shit. And they would blame it on her. Oh, she had a stroke. No. Sophia good. She got clarity. She know at the end of the day, she done lived most of her life.
Yeah.
Now it's her time to be real with herself and real with others around her.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for a lot of folks, we are at different stages, but too many of us are at the stage of we're not ready to be real with ourselves and what we need to really go through to get to the clarity. Because clarity is scary. It's frightening. It can be painful, because you then have to also go through a healing stage to say, okay, I can do this, or okay, maybe this isn't for me, right? Because that's something else. We got a lot of people champion, oh, you got that fear, fight through that fear, but maybe something just really is not for you. It's okay.
Yeah. It's okay to pivot. We pivot masters.
Yeah.
We can help you here at 5 Minute Career Hack, and then Charlene can get your brain together after you ready to pivot.
Okay.
No, Charlene, that was so good. And I mean, you shared so much. I could probably sit on that one narrative you just gave for the rest of this episode. But so values for sure. And what I gathered from what you just said was clarity in your relationship with yourself, being able to listen to your emotions, being able to listen to your gut, identify what you want whether it's in or outside of alignment with your values. That self-relationship is oh my God, it's so critical before you make goals, before you enter into a workplace, before you start that business, before you make that pivot. Like, that's where you need to be clear, is what I took away from what you said. Because now, I'm not saying we get this perfect, because aren't we all in pursuit of our true selves all the time? I know what I know right now, but I reserve the right to be somebody else tomorrow, okay? Because I can do that. But because it's at the top of my mind, I'm going to continue to be present in that space and always seeking for my growth and my clarity there. But, just in case you do enter into those pivots or those endeavors without that relationship, it's just growth. I think we put a tough expectation on ourselves to, okay, I got to get it right before I start. And I know you teach that launch dirty. Sometimes you're going to learn the crap that you need to learn about yourself while you're doing it, and you're going to be gathering that clarity along the way. And then the other thing that popped in my mind, and I know this will fit kind of what we're going to talk about for the rest of today, was just also clarity and understanding on how you are performing today. How are you performing today? Like for real, how you performing, not the narrative that you want to go out there and tell everybody about how you performing, or the Facebook, y'all know I talk about that Facebook post, or the LinkedIn post about
or
you're
that
so happy
Instagram
you just
moment.
started this new position, right? Like the real, how am I performing? Doing that SWOT analysis, which Alicia did an amazing episode on that earlier in the 5 Minute Career Hack podcast. But doing that SWOT analysis to say, this is how I'm performing across different areas of well-being. And really, because you have that relationship with yourself, you can be honest and you can begin to address your true performance today before hopping into those goals. And then considering in totality all those dimensions of well-being, which I like to stay in the mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, and physical and relational dimensions of well-being. So you got to rate yourself just as you rate the people in your life. In those areas, you got to rate yourself and be clear about, this is really how I'm performing. I use this, Brendan Burchard does not pay me, but I probably mention his name once or twice a week, of like, the Growth Day app is it. And it allows you to go in each and every day and rate your life score. So you can do it daily, you can do it weekly, you can do it yearly. And he also shares sometimes his life scores. And then once you put your life score in, then he offers you like these courses that you can watch to help improve your score in a certain area. And believe it or not, clarity is one of those areas that you assess yourself. So if you hadn't already seen the Growth Day app, it is completely lit. But here's the deal. Like when I pull up my Growth Day app, my score for 2023 is like a 77%. And I could trick my mind into thinking like, oh, I did so, it's an 85 and like, or I can feel bad about the 77%, which I don't. I'm just being like, I'm looking at it and it says that my physical fitness was an opportunity for me. It says that my clarity was an opportunity for me. And it says that I had some food habits because I wasn't consistent in the foods that I ate throughout 2023. I know that now. So now as I look at my 2024 goals, and you've heard me say this already, so I'm going to say it here. My 2024 goals as they relate to well-being is going to be centered around my LeBron James sleep schedule and my physical fitness, because I know that I'm not going to win in these areas unless I am focused on those areas of my physical well-being. And that's really what I want to challenge us to today. What Charlene and I are going to talk about is how do you just consider your well-being and the level of clarity that you want to have as you make those 2024 goals. Because Jamila and Alicia are going to walk you through the process of making the goals and making resolutions that work. But we want to get into the mindset of what you should be thinking about, and your well-being has to absolutely be considered. So, thoughts on that before I hop in with a couple of six, and then we're gonna share this amazing acronym that we collaborated on last night.
I just want to say, like, a lot of what we're about to go into, I can honestly say, looking back, because, going through the year, you're not thinking collectively, but hindsight is always 2020. And looking back, I can honestly say, and I see our a lovely Dana joined us. So as this is J Hove's birthday, 30 minutes ago, they just officially closed, the exhibit at, in Brooklyn. But between him, Spike Lee, and Michael Jordan, through the movie and a lot of the documentaries of the sports teams that were really pivotal in certain times, you can see when clarity really helped streamline so many of those different lives. And they streamlined them in a way that, regardless of what they were, what field they were in, what industry, didn't matter. At the end of the day, once all of those different people got clarity on what they wanted with their lives, what they wanted to leave behind and everything like that, it, like, you saw the magic come together. And I think that this conversation really will spark, because for them, it was also mindset, right? It was when you were able to change your mindset and really start to focus, everything else was able to fall into place. Because once you got the mindset and you have a clarity of, oh, this is exactly what I want, this is the path I want to be in. When you start to feel yourself go pivoting and going in the wrong direction, right? Then you can say, no, that's not what I said I wanted. You can start to reject appropriately. A lot of times we are, especially if we're starting to gain publicity and momentum, we're like, yes to everything. And it may not be for our best interest. So clarity, it really helps us also guide us to the better opportunities and where we're supposed to be, not just randomly everywhere, like, bird droppings. We're not trying to be like that. We're trying to be focused.
Yes. Focused and ready to pivot. No, I completely agree with you on that. I'm not even going to re-preach it. Jamila and Alicia tell you I'm good at the re-preach. I'm going to let that sizzle in the spirit of the hearts and the minds that it just landed on, because that was fire. Well, kind of too as well, Char, what, led us here. And I think in our career hacker community, we shared this last year, and I know Jamila's going to talk about it on Wednesday. What we know for sure is that the month from January 18th to the top of February is that time of the year that folks usually abandon those goals that they went to the vision board party, they got the gym membership, they app all these things, they logged into Oprah's master class, like they did all these things because they had all these lofty goals. And that's just a small list of things that we do. And I'm not judging nobody, because y'all know, as I always say, when I say they or you, I'm talking about me as well. But we usually abandon those goals between January 18th and the top of February. And I firmly believe, and the reason why I wanted to start off with this is because we don't have the clarity. We aren't considering our well-being. So the other stat that I shared as well, just as I was inviting people to this live, is that individuals with clear, well-being focused goals are 42% more likely to achieve them. And so, Candice loves a good acronym. If you listen to the 5-Minute Career Hack podcast, I'm always trying to figure out a way to make you remember something by way of an acronym. So Char and I are going to share with you the acronym WELL. We're going to share WELL so we can make sure that your mind is focused on your state of being well prior to crafting your 2024 goals. And so, Char, I think what we should do is we're going to share the acronym, and perhaps you and I just kind of bounce off each other, where you share a little bit on the clarity piece, and then I'll hit a little bit on the well-being piece, because that's, mixing clarity and well-being together. I think that's the objective today. You good with that?
Hell yeah.
I love you. Lit. We in New York too, y'all, by the way. Today, where we in? Brooklyn? We in Brooklyn today. So if my accent starts to change a little bit, that's just because I'm feeling the energy, the Brooklyn energy.
Okay, my Miami soul is just I'm steeped in Brooklyn right now, so we here.
Love it. And I heard you mention that Dana was in the chat, so I can't see the comments. I'm not your technically savvy girl. If I probably should have brought Jamila to the green room, so I can't see any comments. So I'm gonna lean on you to manage that. If there's questions that comes up, definitely help me address those as well. Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Because I will say, Mosaic Nation is in the house. We got an Ashley Bishop in the house.
Hey,
we got Breakthrough the Hill, honey. Yes, honey. People in the house.
Yes. Awesome. We're so glad that people join, because again, we want to make sure that the folks that are in our circle and that are around us are crafting and creating those goals with clarity and purpose. So let's hop into the W.
Yeah.
W, wisdom from reflection. And we already talked about this a little bit already, as I shared what I do in the Growth Day app, of really looking at where I was, or how I performed. Did I stay in alignment with my values? Did I have the right habits? But I just think before we go to hop into writing goals on paper and wasting time, there's got to be a point of reflection. And I talk about this too in our Reflection Revolution podcast, where I talk about making sure that you have habits for journaling. And I heard you talk about that earlier in that relationship. That's a key pillar of your relationship with yourself, is to have a routine and a habit around journaling, so you can get your honest thoughts out, reflect, hey, what worked well today, this week, this month, this year, and what didn't work well? Not what did I suck at, but what, right? Because we do that, right? And then that's actually a waste of time as well. But what didn't work well, or what could I have done differently? What lessons did I learn that I can grasp onto those and make sure that I use the insights from those lessons to contribute to my 2024 goals, again, with my emotional, physical, and mental well-being in mind. So with that, what are your thoughts on, or maybe some key hacks or tips that people can think about when you think of reflecting? I know you talked about journaling, but any other insight for the wisdom from reflection? That's y'all's W, y'all. Wisdom from reflection is learnings and knowledge that you're getting from that. So, Char, what would you share in terms of seeking clarity or any additional
Uh,
hacks?
so for me, I did a lot of this year. I needed to really reflect on, did whatever I did before really propel me forward to what I ultimately want?
Mhm.
And if it was in the no or yes, I didn't want to give myself a whole lot of wiggle room, right? You know, yes or no. What did it do it? And if it was a no, then I had to be mindful of, okay, why wasn't it helping me? Was it worth me doing to begin with?
Right.
And would I do it again? So all of that I had to really put into perspective. And again, going and working with others, I asked them, I was like, you know what, I did this and da 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 da. And listening to what they said, I was like, did that align with what I was feeling already? And if it didn't, I wanted to really dig into, is it not aligning because technically it really has nothing to do with me? Or is it something I didn't think about? So with that, I would definitely say my reflections had to be based on my purpose, my future purpose. It had nothing to do with what am I doing today? What do I want to do in 2024? It had to be bigger than 2024 because everything we do is a stepping stone to something bigger, right? Hopefully. And I'm going to say, hopefully, I know what I want to do. I want to build a brand and a legacy. My ultimate goal is to build a legacy that's worth remembering. People have legacies. Most of them, they want to bury.
If you
So
were
I
writing your
want,
obituary today, right? Like, this is what
okay,
to say.
I want to
Yes.
build a legacy that I'm proud of, that my generation and my family and all of them will be proud to repeat. And not try to say, oh no, we don't remember that. We don't recall that. Like I want something of pride to really live on for me, stemming from me. And while I do that, everything I do around that has to be something that is adding to that. So are the stepping stones I'm taking bringing me closer to a proud legacy? And yes, you know, when you start out in your career, in your business, you don't know what that's going to shape out to. But now because I put that thought forward, I already know this is what I would like it to look like. Now, since I already know what I want it to look like, now am I taking the steps? Am I working in collaborations? Am I working with a strong heart? Am I waking up every day knowing if I only did one thing towards this legacy, is it what I needed to do?
Yeah.
And that's for me when I start to reflect on, okay, the years gone past, all these things, and we all know, let's not try to rely on our brain. Dig into those calendars, because you know when you got booked for something, when you were
That was
booking
important.
appointments, when you were doing all of that, look at your calendar and see through your calendar what was on your calendar in that whole year. What did you do? Did it do something that mattered to your life? Did it do something that mattered to your career, your brand? Did it bring you closer to what you ultimately want? If it didn't, then start evaluating, do you need to be taking these same things on in the new year?
Yeah.
And start in that way, you can really start dropping that, because that's what it was for me. I was like, oh, you know what? I'm not doing that anymore.
Yep.
I'm not doing that.
Absolutely. No, you're so you are so right. And I know we've talked about calendar before. If Jamila was on, she, because I hear her talk about this probably about once a week, of the one thing she got right this year was the calendar. Like if it wasn't
Mm,
on the calendar, it wasn't getting done. And I would
talk
rate,
about it.
I would say I was probably about maybe 65%. And I'm just being honest. Like I got to be honest with myself, and I don't mind being vulnerable, naked, and unashamed to everybody who's watching, because like if you didn't get it right, now that you've done the reflection to see, okay, how did I perform? Let me grab this wisdom from this reflection. It's going to inform your decisions when making your goals and carrying out your goals. And then you're going to make more conscious choices because you had this conversation with yourself, this crucial conversation with yourself about how you perform. So, no, I think that was perfect. I'm not going to repreach that one as well. I just wanted to add the, like, you can look at your calendar for sure and tell how you performed if you don't have Brendan Burchard's Growth Day app, right? And if you got, I was sitting down at lunch or maybe dinner recently with a group of people, and we actually put out our calendars and were like sharing. And mine was like really simple. Like it has my workout, it has the meetings that I'm gonna have, which it has a block of time for me to check email. It has a block of time for me to go pick up the kids, all those things. But we were comparing calendars, and some of those calendars were looking like, I know y'all ride the train station. We used to call it the L train in Chicago. It was looking like the seats on the subway, all the colors. And I was just like, the chaos of that, of what the calendar looks like, all those colors, that to me brings lack of clarity and confusion in the calendar. And perhaps that is why maybe some of those things didn't get done, because it was just too much to begin with. So I heard you say a couple things at the beginning, like, hey, these are the couple things that I want to focus on for 2024. Just, you got to identify what those, like, I want to do. I said it was sleep and working out, and everything else falls around it. You have to identify those core activities that that you want to focus on. And because you speak it out loud, we're not going to go into manifestation because I have a whole thought on that. But because you speak it out loud.
Hey, Miss Karan on here, child.
Yes. Okay, Ron, me and you would do a live on manifestations, but because you speak it out, then it starts to inform the conscious choices that you're making on a daily basis. So that's all I got on wisdom for reflection.
And I definitely want to add a little bit to the calendar part too. I used to get guilted, right? When people would just jump out of nowhere, and I'm like, oh, here's my calendar. And just a backstory to that. I started to really be real diligent with the calendar. I would block things on the back end to know people can't just jump on my calendar. So there would be times that I would block out, and it would be times. So on my side, I knew it would be either my focus time, it would be my rest time, it would be just time to do what I feel like doing. So when others would be like, oh, none of the days that you were allotted works, I would look at the person, I'm like, do I now break my own rule to accommodate, or because you really truly can't find anything, or you want it your way, right? So I had to really start to also think about that. And the more I start to get to know people, the better and easier it is for me to know, oh, really? Try next month. You're going to find a day there, right? But if it's somebody that I knew and I was like, okay, I know you really, really need to do something and I can really accommodate, but I also know you have clarity in what you need to get done. So you're not wasting my time. That's something else too. There's people who don't have clarity and they're like, oh, I don't know. And then you're like, all right, let me bend, let me do all that. And now you just wasted another hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. And when I say wasted, I really mean wasted. Wasted meaning because if they don't have clarity, they can't allow you to really make space for them so you can help and support them the way you know how. I found my people, when they really understand it, even if they say, you know what, I know for sure I am deadlocked when it comes to creating content, right? The website is you do that, but content, I don't know how to translate my voice, the vision that I have, into copy. And that's legit, right? I could work with you. I could do that. But when you come and you're floating and you're flipping and you're doing all, like one minute you want to be a ballerina, the next minute you want to be a conductor for the train. Like I need you to focus, right? What you want to be today, right now, that I can help you today. Yeah. That to me is really what really helps me focus on. Should I open up my calendar and be flexible? Or should I just make sure my calendar is as stringent as possible so I can now align my dreams as well? Because even though we have businesses, we have careers, we still have dreams as individuals. So our calendars should be supporting us, giving us time so we can set aside for ourselves to take that break from the world. Because a lot of times when you allow people into your calendar, into your world, they will take up all the time, either ghost you, they show up, they block and clog up your brain. Because also, don't forget, when we just having conversation, that's mental capacity we're giving people.
Preach.
And energy. People don't understand that when you transition energy like that in mental space, that's a whole lot. We get wiped out and we don't even realize we're getting wiped out. I take naps, folks. I take naps.
That is going on my calendar in 2024. I'll be writing that along with you and Leslie on those naps, okay?
Exactly, because your mind, your brain needs a break sometimes, because especially when you are a creative and ideas just flow to you and come to you on a constant basis, your brain is exhausted. Mm-hmm. And that's why a lot of people say, you know, my mind was running all night. Yeah, you got to write that stuff out so your brain can get it out. Your brain can get it out of the space. And then when you have it on something paper, it's like, oh, okay. Even if I didn't say it out loud, okay, I got it here. Like, we good. And then you move on because you're constantly creating. You're in a state of creation all the time.
Yeah, no, that's really good. That's really good. And I think for me, what I took away out of what you said was, yes, have the block on there, but because you get to make a choice. You just get to make a choice if the person who wanted to intrude on whatever that block was, you get to make a choice if you allow that. And you can reserve the right to say no if it does not align with, again, your overall well-being, or if it doesn't align with what you're trying to do. And you can kindly, no, but here's the time that I have available based on my calendar. I'm quick to be like, okay, I'll send somebody a picture of my calendar and be like, hey, this is what I got going today. I got this space in 30 minutes, like a 30-minute slot, because I want people to know that that's important to me. My time is important. But I want to be able to make that choice and not be forced to allow someone to intrude on my time or things that are priorities for me.
Especially if they're assuming, oh, you a solopreneur. You just no. Pretend I'm Amazon, boo.
Yeah, it's busier actually. Yes, it's
pretend.
Because once those creative juices start flowing, like, I feel busy. And then you talked about the capacity from talking to people, and I think, especially, and I want to just give this hack to people who are listening, like this, there's definitely where you have to make space to, when you do this reflection or this wisdom from reflection that we're talking about, evaluate who you've been spending time with. Who have you been talking to? How much time have you been talking to them? Maybe you need to reduce some of the time that you're talking to certain people and ramp up the amount of time that you are talking to others, right? I've got Mosaic, I've got Jamila and Alicia, and a couple of other friends that I spend most of my time talking to, because we are pouring into each other and helping each other reach our goals or being in business together. And, I like to set aside time for mindlessness, but it just can't be for hours a day, right? Like I can't, right. I don't. So maybe it's guys that you set a 30-minute slot for, hey, I want to use this time to not think about work. Or maybe it's an hour that you want to use this time to not, to work on things or to talk to people or things that, or do things, that are less goal driven, if that makes sense. Because I think it's important to give our brains a break as well. That's why I wanted to point that out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, so that was good. Wisdom from reflection. So put that in the chat. Those of you that are listening, write wisdom from reflection. We're going to move on to the E, and that is energized with authentic desires. This is us getting energy from operating in our true authenticity. I've got several tools around this. Unmasking My Brilliance. That's a podcast that I recorded on authenticity, as well as if you check us out on LinkedIn and our blog on our website, I talk about breaking free and loosening the shackles of living somebody else's dreams and purpose and really truly walking in yours. I'm still on that journey though. So we're here learning together, but and Char, definitely, I want you to chime in after this, but we have to be in authentic alignment with our goals. So let's just say if I was out here which a lot of us end up, I was in this space before, out here living somebody else's dreams and goals, walking in somebody else's purpose. And that's how I ended up in burnout. I had zero clarity about what I actually wanted. I was just doing what I saw, what people around me were doing, and what sounded good. And I've forgiven myself for that. Like, I'm not mad at myself, like, oh goodness, why did you do that? I've forgiven myself for that. And now, because I have forgiven myself, it's opened up space for me to say, well, this is actually what I do want. These are this is what I want. This is my purpose. My purpose, I want to help people. I want to help. I want to serve others. I want to speak. I just want to speak. I want to serve people. I want to help people create content. I want to help people in corporate America, teams in corporate America pivot in their career, their company, and their confidence. I know that these are the things that I want to do, and it's no longer I want to do what I saw my ancestors do, which was work until they were 62, and see a little bit of struggle after they came out of it. So it has to be an authentic, like we have to be authentic about where we are, authentic about where we're going, and truly identify what you need to break free from. So in 2024, our goals are in alignment with our personal values and can actually contribute to our well-being. So that's my spiel on that. I could tell y'all a lot of stories about it. Just go read the article. I could tell you a lot of stories about how I wasn't walking in my authenticity. But Char, what would you share in terms of clarity and authenticity with the crowd today?
Yeah, it definitely still goes back to, if you didn't even know yourself, you didn't take the time to get to know who you are and what you truly wanted. How do you know you even being authentic to yourself? And with that, that's where, if you understand, okay, look, I ultimately dislike public speaking, or I dislike working with the public. Then why you in a space where you have to be of a public servant or something similar to that, right? Is it because of the money? Like, if you're honest with yourself and you say, you know what, I'm in this job, I'm in this space because the money is good, but I don't like the work, right? Mm-hmm. You can be honest with yourself and say, if I can find a way to find out what I truly love and still make the bag, then that's different. I can go in that way without harming others or without harming the industry that I'm in, because the industry sounds good because it pays well, but I'm just not a good people person, or maybe the scenario isn't right. Maybe my boss isn't the best. So all of that to say, if you're not even understanding, if your inner self, you don't even know who you are internally, how are you aligning yourself with what you truly want? How can you? You can't. And it goes back again to, when it comes to clarity, you have to sit down and take the time to really do that work and that deep dive into understanding who you are as a person, who you are as a being. To say, you know what moves me? What doesn't move me? Some people feel like it takes too long. They just don't want to, they just, is it fluffy? It's like that emotional thing, right? Do I have to get all emotional and moody with myself? No, you just got to sit your behind down and really think, what is it you like? Sometimes people been in relationships, or people been in situations that they don't even know what they like. They've been in it for so long. They've been in it since they were young. Now they're older. It's almost like robotic for them. Yeah. And that's not what you want, especially when you're after your goals. And how can you pursue a goal you don't even understand? So it's really about, at the end of the day, understanding who are you as a person. Do the work. There's no shortcut on that at all. There's no shortcuts at all.
Channel your inner Jada. I'm gonna keep moving though before I get some comments. Who am I, and what do I want?
Yeah, here.
Who am I, and what do I want? And if you can't answer that right away, just because I said it out loud, maybe that's a reflection question that you're asking every single day. You're gonna discover that as you progress through the journey of self-reflection on a daily basis. But that's who am I? What do I want? That's it. You said it. Love it.
Yes.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, I
And
mean, like
those
we don't
three,
have to complicate. That's why I wanted to just like end it. Like we don't have to complicate it. You have to go back to that because otherwise you'll find yourself doing other people's goals and other people's dreams, right?
come on now.
Yes.
And for those of you, I just remember it's Monday. The library is not closed until 8. Y'all still got at least an hour. I just want to clarify that. Okay. For those listening live on the line, you still got time.
Put it in your car and let's go. Love it.
Okay.
No, so far we've got wisdom for reflections, reflecting on where you are. For the E, we have energized with your authentic desires. Who are you, and what do you truly want? And then this is the one that I see people either swing all the way or to the other on the pendulum for this L, and it's light on obstacles. So what I find is and when I say when I think about and reflect on my own journey, it's either I'm spending too much time thinking about all the things that could go wrong, or I'm going, oh, well, don't think about the negative things, only be in the present and the positive, right? So we need to balance that thing, right? Because it's actually just very smart to identify what the obstacles are. So this is L, light on obstacles. It is smart prior to you actually writing those goals down as you're thinking about what you want, who you are. Hey, what are some potential obstacles that I may face that may hinder me from discovering who I am or achieving what it is that I want? And when I think about just my day, like why it's so important to have, good relationships. We are not put on this earth, and Jay and I say this all the time, and Alicia, we're not put on this earth to do things alone. So you can sit down and come up with those potential obstacles, but it's so important for you to bounce things off your community or a mentor. If you're in a workspace, maybe this is where you partner with your sponsor in the workplace, just to make sure that you take partner with someone who can help you maybe identify some of those obstacles that you didn't even, that you discovered when you did your reflection, or that you just didn't see coming, or you're not thinking about right now. But Char, give us any insight or hacks you have around illuminating obstacles, and how would you advise someone to have balance and not spending too much time in this? I'm only going to think of the positive, but then also not waddling or sitting in trying to figure out the negative things for so long that they aren't even moving forward. How would you advise people towards that?
I'm gonna tell you, I'm still working through mine because when I plan goals, I feel like they're so huge that I'm a Taurian, right? So I like to be real level, real grounded. I want to be like, oh, okay, I could feel the earth under my feet. But when you are really building visions and you looking for goals and you're like, yo, I would love this, and they just feel so big. At that point, you don't want anything holding you down, and reality tends to hold us down a lot. So what I started to really do is really think of the option, I wouldn't even call them obstacles. I would just call them phases. If I'm creating a vision, if I'm creating a plan, what phases do I need to go through? And each phase is either going to be finance, it's either going to be collaboration, whatever that is. But each phase can be handled. You just have to plan for it and know, okay, look, phase 1. In order for me to get all the way over here, I got to get to phase 1 first. So phase 1, this is what it is. Let me break it down. And if I see the pieces in place, then I would like, oh, you know what? Because I did all that work before, and again, some people didn't do the work yet. So if you did the work and you got to know people just on principle, you just want to get to meet people, know who they are, know what they do, things like that. You then start to realize while you're building out your dreams and you're figuring out what your goals are for the future, like, oh shit, phase one, I know 4 people who can help me with phase one. They could either be advisors, they could either jump in with me. I could pay them. They would offer their services, whatever that is. But at least you got 4 people you could reach out to. So with that being said, for me, it's really about understanding, okay, one, go in knowing you're not going to be able to do everything by yourself, right? Be prepared. Be prepared that you're not going to be able to do everything by yourself. And 2, talk about it. So you may not want to talk in details depending on what it is you're planning, but talk to people and say, you know what? I have this goal. I have this vision that I would love to 1, 2, and 3. Somebody who hears you is going to be like, oh, wow, I do such and such. Maybe I can work with you on this. Have you thought about this? And before you know it, I like to say the universe. So before you know it, the universe is putting people in your path that are meant to help you if you, once again, sit down and pay attention. Because we don't listen long enough. We're just always on the go. We're just always on the go. So if you just sit down long enough, plan out what you want to do and start talking to people about it and sharing what you want to do, more than likely you will get people who start to be drawn to you and they start to float into your path to help you. And these obstacles that we once saw are no longer obstacles. These were just phases that we had to go through so we can get to where we ultimately needed to go. And then also, I had to learn my vision may be one thing, but the outcome will be another. The results will come out another way. And it's okay as long as I'm closer to what I ultimately wanted. And that's where we have to let go of our fantasies, because fantasies are sexy, right? People, and I don't know. I know we at night, but I want to be mindful of the audience. So
be you.
I'm just going to
Before
say,
we were 5-minute career hack, we were be you ain't. Be you, okay?
so when we watch these love shows, these dramas, right? They making love and these scenes are so sexy. And you're like, oh, that scene was sexy. It's steamy. And when you talk to the actors like, girl, like 700 people was on set. There was nothing sexy about that. So behind the scenes, when they had to act it all out, it was business for them, right? It was like, okay, go here, make sure you don't block the way. Like, we're going to pretend to, like, that was how they had to actually follow through to make our fantasy, right, look good. So by the time it's on TV, we was like, oh, that was sound. Oh, Lord, I love that. And we didn't know what was going on behind the scenes. So it's the same thing when we have these visions and these goals. When you're looking at these obstacles, the obstacles are the behind the scenes, right? You didn't know what it took to really make it look that sexy vision that everybody else sees plays out. So everybody's at Renaissance looking at the video and they went to the concert, but they didn't really get to understand the behind the scenes to really understand what made it so sexy in the beginning, right? Yeah. So y'all saw the sexy, but you didn't see all the breaking and the sweating in the back.
The process, right? That's the process.
Right, the process, exactly.
Yes. Listen, Char, you almost had me make an acronym within the acronym, because I was sitting here like writing down what you were saying. I was like, ooh, when she gets to the 4th point, I might have a word. Break it into phases. Instead of viewing them as obstacles, break it into phases. Put that in the chat if you're listening, because I want everybody to make sure they capture the gems that Char just dropped. Break it into phases. Lean on your community. And I actually wrote for myself, lean vulnerably on your community. You have to say, when you go do that reflection and you identify where you are, you got to make sure that you are being vulnerable and saying, this is what I'm concerned about, or this is where I am, so they can actually help you with the right things and not helping you with these fantasies that you have. 3, actively listen. So when you go to that community and you share vulnerably, you have to then take a seat and sit in a student seat, right? And be able to listen actively to the guidance, discern whether or not this is guidance that you need or want, but you've got to be present and an active listener in order to receive that. And then finally, I think BLAP is what I came up with as the acronym, process versus outcome. Was that a movie? Blap?
Bap.
Bap. Man, I should have found another way. But
Okay,
yes,
we gonna make it work.
so yes, if you didn't capture those, you can go back and watch it in the replay. But hopefully, I wanted to just pull out those 4 points that I took away from what you talked about in terms of shedding a light on those obstacles. They're maybe not obstacles, there's just phases, or maybe the challenges that you face were just a part of the process. And the process is something, I know Jamila says it all the time. I heard Leslie say it this morning. Be in love with the process and not the outcome. And when you can identify those issues or challenges or whatever it is in the process versus getting to the end and reflecting and saying, oh, my process was broken 6 months ago. Like, this is where it went wrong. That's why that daily reflection is so important. So, no, I think that was great, Char. And we're going to end us up in the last L. So, I like to give a recap. So just in case anybody just joined, let me tell you where we are. Number W, we're doing the WELL acronym. W is wisdom from reflection. E is energized with authentic desires. L is light on, I'm just changed it. It's light on phases of your goals. The light on the phases, not the obstacles, light on phases. And then finally is leverage readiness. How can we define specific goals and prioritize them based on our current life circumstances? This is, again, taking into account where you are physically, where you are in relationships, where you are in your finances. How do you gauge how ready you are? And I think I've basically already given the hack for this at the beginning in the reflection, right? With just sharing what I do with my daily life scores. And now I understand that because I scored low in these couple of areas, now I understand I'm not, listen, I can get ready. So now I know where to focus so I can be ready. But I'm not ready to run a 10K until I get these 10 more pounds off. So I got to understand how ready I am to even do the 10K goal that I got this year, right? So again, it's about readiness, and a misstep that we may have, and maybe why we even abandon these goals so early is because we were not ready for them in the first place, because we didn't do the evaluation and the reflection, because we did not identify the phases that Char talked about. Then we end up abandoning these goals, feeling bad, penalizing ourselves because we did it, not understanding how to improve your relationship with yourself. You end up back another year, 2024, and you still got the same goals in 2022 because you weren't ready. You were not ready. So I know we are a little bit over time, but I'm cool with that. Char, give us one final hack on how one would leverage all the, and you maybe already gave this, so maybe just a reiteration, or if you got a new gym, we open for it, but how one would kind of walk through the journey of clarity to identify what they're ready for in creating their 2024 goals.
Oh my goodness. I think again, being honest with ourselves, because even with the clarity, you're asking yourself in 2024, and I think that's also why so many goals are abandoned, right? We put all these things on our plates and we write it down because it sounds good, right? And especially if you're part of those vision board parties and these parties, it's like,
manifestation parties.
Right, manifestation. Let's make public declarations of what we want to do and all. And now you don't want to look goofy publicly, right? So you're going to write stuff. And you kind of don't want to make people think you don't have the guts, because maybe at that point in time you were peer pressured and you felt like, oh, I got to write this. I got to say this. I got to do. You have to still come back to being honest with yourself. What are you willing to really put out the energy for so you can accomplish something in 2021? If it's one big thing, let it be one big thing. And the entire year you do small little increment things to accomplish that one big goal for you. That's a hooray for you, right? That should be an amazing for you. Never feel like you have to be obligated to someone else's pressure or someone else's dream. Most of these parties and most of these manifestation events, they're really supposed to help encourage you to be honest with yourself and be truthful of what it is you think you can accomplish in a year. Mm-hmm. If you want to make sure that, oh, you know what, at the end of the day, I want to write a book. If it's going to take you the year, just make sure that that's on your calendar and you're mapping out, like we said, block time out so you handle your business. And by the end of 2024, you can say, boom, I've accomplished my goal. I wrote a book. Now, if you want to publish a book, that's a whole different thing, right? Be clear as well. Clarity is also being super clear about what exactly are you doing. Are you publishing? Because publishing a book means you're going to both write and publish it, right? All the launching, all the goodies and all the cute stuff. If you want to write it, then technically you don't have to obligate yourself to publish it to the public. You just want to make sure you get it all out in paper and you manifest it to the point where now it's something you can send to an editor, right? That's something you can do as well. I think we need to remove the pressure of major, huge milestone type goals. If you're not ready, be honest with yourself and say you're not ready, because that's less pressure for you to let yourself down and let others down, because now others are like, oh, wait, what's happening? What's going on? And you, of course, start to train other people not to believe that you're going to do anything because, you say big goals all the time. You say you're going to have a car wash. You don't have a car wash. You say you're going to do this. You say you're going to buy. So at that point, people are like, well, what's going on? But most people, again, they don't know the backstory. They don't know the work it might take to really bring all of that to fruition. So write out what it is you really want and start to be honest with yourself. What would it take? Do I have to hire a coach to write? Do I have to hire a publisher to help walk me through the stages of everything I need to do? Would I have to hire an editor? What do I need to do to accomplish this goal? So what are the phases I need to go through? Because some people want to write biographies. Baby, a biography have you crying in your bed, wrapped up in a blanket in a corner somewhere, rocking, because you breaking through emotional barriers. Like, people don't understand. Like, sometimes when you have to tell your personal story, that means, are you comfortable putting your personal business in the street? And it's in the street. There's some level of your business that's going to be in the street. And as we know, celebrities, sometimes they got to go to their family members and say, well, I wrote about such and such. Are you okay? If you're not, it's going to be in the book anyway. Like those kind of conversations will be had. So a lot of it is really about, are you ready to sit yourself down and be honest with yourself about, one, what are you truly ready to, what's the energy you're really ready to put into the phases and the movements that you're about to go through so you can accomplish this goal. Maybe that 2024, all you have room for is one goal. Yeah. And maybe you have room for 4 small goals, but you have to be honest with yourself about that energy you're about to put out.
Absolutely. Oh, that was so good. That was so good. This is an area where I am still improving. I can say going from 2020 to now, I've gotten a little better. But just even the other day when I was talking to a friend, we were doing my daughter's birthday festival, and she was like, man, this is so amazing. But I think the challenge with you is that you try to create hours to add to the day with all the things that you try to do. And I was like, you are so right, Johanna. But I promise you, I'm better than I used to be. I used to try to put a whole other day in a day. But yeah, there's a problem, and you feel very defeated when you add too much to the plate, and then you end up not accomplishing just about any of it because it was just too much to begin with. And I like to offer, I always got a book drop, and actually Alicia was the one who pointed us towards this book, and it's probably what helped me get like 10% better at this over the last 2 quarters, and it's the 12-week year. It's a book called The 12-Week Year. outlining the way that people can get more done in 12 weeks than they do in a year. So as we're thinking about our goals versus saying by the end of 2024, I want to accomplish this thing, maybe it's over the next 12 weeks. This is a phase that Char was talking about. Over the next 12 weeks, here are my targets. And then then you evaluate where you are. And then the next 12 weeks, here are my targets. So I don't know if Alicia is going to talk about that. I'd imagine she will tomorrow because she was the one who got us energized around this book. But perhaps you have to break it down if you're like myself and you stack it all on a plate, knowing that you got 10 things on there when you really could only do one or two. And what I'm trying to train my brain to do is, okay, write the list, get it out your brain because we got to get it out. But then just get one thing done. And then you can move on to the next thing. Set a target for the one thing versus the 10. So you can feel more, not productive, because I make things performative sometimes when they should not be. So not more productive, but so you can feel more fulfilled because once you rank those 10 things you put on a list, you know which one is going to serve your goal and serve your well-being. That's the one you knock out, not the one that's going to make you feel good because it's a small task and you feel good about knocking 4 small tasks off your list. Put that thing at the top, right, that serves your overall well-being goal and get that done. That's fulfillment. And then those other things help you boost what you think you need, which is a productivity boost. That's another podcast, but I think, just again, to your point, you've got to reflect in order for you to be ready. And then you also got to think, for those of you who are watching, who are career folks, a lot of times we set our goals based on just where we want to be in our careers. And that's why I wanted to kind of use this time to challenge and encourage folks to think about their overall well-being. You can't succeed in your career or your business if you are not physically healthy. You can't lead a productive or fulfilling life if you're not getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep. If you're not reflecting and dumping things out your brain, you're not going to have more creativity, right? I can go on and on, but it can't just be about your career and your business. If you are really going to prepare yourself and be ready to create goals, you have to rate and consider where you are across all areas and dimensions of well-being. So I'm going to get off my soapbox on that one. I know we have, because I go, well, put some stuff in the chat. Char, you're watching. What did y'all think about the WELL acronym? Was this helpful? Share your takeaways. Share this out with a friend on what you learned or maybe your biggest takeaway on the WELL acronym. You have not even made it to the place where you're about to make the goals. Char and my goal tonight was just to challenge your mindset around seeking clarity and considering your overall well-being before you even start putting goals down that you may or may not abandon in January through February. We actually want you to achieve your goals. We want it to be different than the way you set goals before. And this resolutions that work, strategic resolutions series that we're doing this week at the 5-Minute Career Hack, we want to be alongside you and celebrate with you as you approach 2024 differently than you ever have before. So I am going to I'm gonna adjourn this portion of the conversation, but before we go, Char, you got to tell us where to find you. How can the people connect with you? Tell us about your podcast. Just tell us what we need to know about Charlene Brown, the Brand Misfit, Brooklyn Custom Designs. How can they find you and work with you?
Oh, definitely. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on. I will definitely be having more conversations with y'all anyway. But this was really amazing, and it's such a pivotal time, right? At the end of the year. So hey, y'all, get these thoughts in mind. Yes. But definitely, you guys can find me on Clubhouse. You can find me on LinkedIn, Charlene Brown, LinkedIn, Charlene B. Brown. And you can also just head on over to BrooklynCustomDesigns.com, BKLYN, customdesigns.com or thebrandmisfit.com to find more about me directly. And you'll find out all the things that I do because I love working with booked out women, coaches, and consultants who are just ready to create some evergreen solutions. And that's what I'm about, because building those legacies is not easy, but it can be done. We have businesses that need to be brands. Folks are out here moving like they want to be a brand, but they're not set up. So I help you get set up to be that brand who also ultimately becomes a legacy brand. So I cannot wait to just continue the move that I've been doing, is just educating on web design, development, and of course the power of branding and tech implementation, because we're just not taking full advantage of technology the way we should. I want you guys to really know you lead tech. Don't let tech lead you. Yes. You are the ultimate decision maker in your business, in your careers. So I am excited. I cannot wait. And of course, head on over to claritywithcharlene.com. That's the brand new podcast that I'm having amazing conversations. Candyce and all her peeps gonna be on here, because when we get together, y'all gonna hear some real juicy stuff, because we're not playing. Clarity to me is the foundation of everything. So it doesn't matter what you think, where you think you started, where you are now. Once you have clarity, the world is gonna open up. So I cannot wait to have y'all on.
Yes, awesome. Thank you. And I've already listened to a couple episodes, and I'm like, we need that on the t-shirt. A couple of phrases that I heard out of there. So if you have not, if you don't know about Clarity with Charlene prior to tonight, I urge you, after you go and listen to today's installment of the 5-Minute Career Hack Podcast, you can listen to Charity with Charlene. The episodes are, they are just so packed with gems, and it can just be what you listen to in your commute. And if you are seeking purpose, if you're seeking understanding, even if you're still in a workplace and business, this is a podcast that I highly recommend. And to your point, Char, I cannot wait to join you and have a very authentic and organic conversation between the four of us. So I appreciate you for joining me today. This was a delight. I'm energized about my 2024 goals. You gave me more clarity, Char. You gave me more clarity tonight. Yes. Awesome. Well, with that, I am going to end this live. Again, share this out with your friends. Go to 5minutecareerhack.com and subscribe to our newsletter. Go to brooklyn.customdesigns.com. I got that right?
Yes, ma'am.
BKLYN customdesigns.com, and subscribe to Charles' newsletter as well. We're handing out blessings. We're handing out just blessings, and some of this stuff is free gems by way of podcast that you don't need to miss. So take a look, share, and we appreciate you all joining us today as well. And as I always say, love y'all and be well.
We have so many hacks to share. So if you haven't already subscribed, you can do that now. And don't forget to leave a review. And if you take a snapshot of your review and send it to us on Instagram, we will send you a premium course that usually sells for $57. We're truly grateful for your reviews, as they play a vital role in helping us spread our mission of sharing these invaluable career hacks with the world. Thank you.